Hi, my name is Nathan Borgford Barnell. I lead the science affairs team at the Climate and Clean Air Coalition.
Thanks a lot, Nathan, for inviting me today. I'm Ashish. I'm from GenbaNEXT, Japan. We are a digital SaaS software company that is developing tracking systems for LRM, Lifecycle Refrigerant Management.
So this is a really exciting program that you developed and operationalized in Japan.
Yes,
correct. And you're looking to expand to South and Southeast Asia. Is that correct? Can you talk a little bit about what you do and the opportunities in this digital age of tracking with your program?
So I think Japan is a very advanced country, but as you're aware, they love their pen and paper. I mean, if I go to offices of a lot of on the ground personnel, you'll find stacks of paper, and these are daily reports, and that's the same case for refrigerants as well. So there are different stakeholders in this refrigerant workflow, right? I mean, there's AC manufacturers, dealers, contractors who are doing the on-the-ground installations with their maintenance, and then there are refrigerant processing companies. So although the law mandate has been there for the last 15 years, all of them have been meticulously managing their workflow on pen and paper. So what we have done is, firstly, we have aggregated all of them on a single platform. So all of them have the same software, same interface. They're able to, make requests just like how you order food on Uber Eats. And then they are able to manage the refrigerant and its flow through the complete ecosystem on our software platform. So yeah, that's where I think I've basically achieved the Uberization of refrigerants and refrigerant stakeholders in Japan. And we would love to kind of give the benefit of this kind of a platform to the other countries as well.
That's really exciting. Who are generally your users for this platform?
Okay. So let me take you back to the initial phases where this whole activity starts. So for refrigerants, definitely you know that this is sitting in different equipment, right? So my initial user would be the AC manufacturing company. So they have manufactured a certain batch of products. So now they can use my software to initially register this equipment and then also store the initial charge of what is the amount of refrigerant that's sitting in different equipment on the software. Next, this equipment goes to different buildings for installation, right? So that is where my next set of stakeholders, which are the dealers and contractors who are coming in to actually do the installation on site, they come into the picture. So during the time of installation of these machines, there is we call it additional charge of refrigerant. So whatever is the add-on refrigerant that is put into the machines, that is now registered onto the system. So slowly what we are building at is the whole the inventory or the refrigerant bank, if I may, is starting to collect onto this system. So not just when refrigerant is going into the market, but when it's being removed from the equipment stock. That is also when my system comes into the picture. So that is where you have these AC maintenance guys who are repairing or replacing the equipment. So that is when they recover the refrigerant gas, which again comes into the software. Not just the guys who are in the AC business, but also your scrap dealers, right? You have a lot of commercial air conditioning that comes in as scrap, but then there's refrigerant sitting there. So then these guys take out the refrigerant, and these are guys again who are registering this information onto the system. So maybe you can grasp from what I'm trying to explain is we have really flexibly implemented the software in a way that any stakeholder who is in this workflow can easily come on board onto the software and do his bit, basically. So we are not developing this software for large corporations who can potentially, afford to buy a software like this. It is even to the very small guy, the mom and pop shops, who are kind of like, resistant to come into the workflow or, manage something at this scale, because then, they become accountable for that. Then, they have to report that to maybe the state government or the central government. So we have empowered them with a tool that, now this software takes care of all your compliance and reporting aspects. So you can go about your day doing your things while being compliant to the business that you're doing.
That's fantastic. So going back to your original statement about the piles of paper, what this is doing is automating the entire life cycle process of these refrigerants and the equipment that uses them, replacing all of that paper with this digital platform that all users have access to. Do you, so it's a proven product in Japan.
Yes, sir. So we are live.
Are you using it in any other any other countries in the region? Is it flexible enough to fit in other markets like, say, Thailand?
So we've been live in Japan for the last 3.5 years. We launched in 2022 January, and like you rightly mentioned, the piles of paper that we are eliminating. This is not just for the reporting of the industry, but also for the reporting to the governments. So essentially, the Ministry of Environment in Japan is the one that requires this data, which then it utilizes to report to IPCC, the United Nations. So there are two sides to this coin, right? I mean, one is the industry aspect and one is the government aspect. After Japan, once we launched it, we got a lot of interest from the industry, and then we were noticed by the Ministry of Environment in Japan because of the annual reporting. You may be aware that Ministry of Environment Japan has different schemes wherein they introduce technology from Japan to other countries. So through JICA, JETRO, OECC. So OECC was one of the organizations that took to us. They created a video of our software, and then they introduced us first to Vietnam. And that is where we connected with the Vietnamese government as well, Bonway. And we were also part of the JCM, Joint Crediting Mechanism project, which was a joint collaboration between Daikin, Marubeni, and us as a software provider. So that was our first into Southeast Asia. After that, we launched into Indonesia as well. Now we are live in Malaysia, and Thailand also, again, industry. Daikin is one of the players that's already interested to leverage the software in Thailand, but I think we are yet to identify the other stakeholders in Thailand, like the reclamation centers or the destruction centers, to kind of roll out the software in a more meaningful way. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I would say, actually, the benefits of this are more than two sides. It's maybe not a coin you're describing, but a die with at least 6 different types of benefits. I'm really intrigued about the MRV component of this and how this can help countries manage their banks of refrigerants, not just manage them, understand them. The millions of different units holding, millions of tons of different refrigerant charges, but knowing where they are, but then actually managing their destruction and getting credit for that destruction. It seems like quite an innovative approach to systematizing and regularizing this and reducing costs.
I'm really glad you brought it up because, we have about 2 million buildings that are under management of this software in Japan. And one of the critical aspects that we observe is leak rate. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not something that, falls through the cracks, but that is a major problem that needs to be addressed, or that is where even though you have a meticulous LRM in place, that is one of the areas where, again, refrigerant is left to the atmosphere. So what our platform does is, although we are not a real-time mechanism to track leakage, but between two servicing or maintenance windows, we always have the technician register that information, right? How much of refrigerant is sitting into this particular machine. So even though after 3 or 6 months, there is a difference, or there is a leakage of, let's say, half a kg or 0.8 kilograms. Now that is something that we can track, analyze on our system, report it back, and then manufacturing companies or technicians can then take notice, and then they can go and whatever, welding. There is some, gap in the welding, or there is some gap in the installation. So that's where then they can, plug in those gaps, so that we don't keep losing that 0.8 kg, every maintenance window. But then we are able to, plug the leak, if I may.
Yeah.
So I think that is another area that we have identified to identified, the software helps on the ground.
No, that is very exciting. I mean, it doesn't obviously replace real-time monitoring, but being able to measure leak rates and then go in and proactively address them is, of course, another very critical benefit that could come out of this. As I'm sure you know, the efficiency of a refrigeration system is impacted significantly by the loss of refrigerant. So this has an potential enormous impact on energy efficiency and energy consumption for the consumers. So one last question about the platforms that this can be used on and its ease of use. Does this require significant equipment to run or large processing capacity? What is needed to get up and running?
I'll say thank you so much for the question, Nathan. I think my experience for the last 3-4 years rolling this out on the ground is you meet a lot of technicians. The most complex piece of software they've used is WhatsApp. Okay, so I mean, that would feel strange for us, but and this application has been built at that level so that anyone with that basic competency who's used WhatsApp or who's ordered something on Amazon, they'll be able to use this software. So that is how simple it is. That is the ease of use. And there is no resource that is required for you to run the software. It's all on the cloud. You just need to go to a link, and once you open it on your web browser, you're good to go. Having said that, although it's on the cloud, we have very strict security measures. So we have firewalls, and we ensure that, depending on the country's need, we manage those particular data requirements. For example, right, I mean, EU or some of the Southeast Asian countries want the data to be physically present on servers in their country, So we've been taking care of those kind of software requirements that would be needed country-wise. Apart from that, yeah, it's just one click on the browser and you're good to go live.
So the CCAC has been active in this space since the very beginning. Our cooling hub has a number of partners, country, intergovernmental, NGO partners who are active in trying to address refrigerant banks, life cycle management of refrigerant. We're very active in this space. We have a lot of country partners in this region in particular, for example, Vietnam, which you referenced, and Japan is also very active with this platform. For our partners, particularly our country partners, and in fact those outside of the coalition as well, if they were interested in reaching out to you or finding ways to utilize this system, how would they do that?
I think, Nathan, I experienced this firsthand. Last week I was invited by CCAC, Denise, and OECC Kato-san for the event for South Asian countries. So that's where we presented about refNEXT as one of the sessions, and there was very evidently a lot of interest in South Asian countries, because one of the main aspects that they highlighted was, where do we start with? I mean, they definitely want to capture data. They want to start this whole activity, but again, there's a lot of lack of infrastructure, right? I mean, collection centers, reclamation centers. So they just wanted to understand if there's a bits and pieces of the software that they can use, for example, only for recovery and filling of the equipment, because that gives them a good starting point to, collate the data, build their databases, start building their, HFC banks. So I think these kind of events give a lot of push as well as visibility for systems like ours, which countries can leverage. So apart from events conducted by CCAC's initiative, we have our website. I think you can find it here, and you can directly reach out to any of the email addresses or the contact form that is there on the website, and we'll get back to you. Or you can contact CCAC Denise, or you can contact OECC Kato-san, and they'll put you in touch with us. And I would like to, since we are on this point, iterate here that we are a software that is already built with a lot of functionality and modules. So a lot of people are, concerned about what would be the pricing or the cost if they were to leverage a software like this. And, trust me, like as someone who's been on the ground rolling this out in Japan and then into Southeast Asia, I understand the practical problems or practical issues because the business models around this whole LRM are still very nascent. They are still being put into place. So it's very difficult to put a price or to leverage such software for a certain amount. So our intention is first to have all the countries use the software, experience it, identify the benefits. So we are rolling out this software free of cost to any country that would want to utilize this till such time that they've identified the benefits, the importance or the necessity of the software for their country and for their industry as well. And once that stage has been established, then on a case by case basis, depending on if that is something that is chargeable, we can work on a flexible pricing scheme. But the software is FOC model, free of cost basis. So any country or any entity that is looking to manage LRM are really welcome to contact us to utilize the software.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm sure many of our partners will be very gladdened to hear that. Well, Ashish, it's been an absolute pleasure. I have to say, this is what makes the Climate and Clean Air Coalition such an exciting place for all of our partners to work, being able to engage with new and innovative ideas like yours to achieve multiple benefits addressing superpollutants, particularly superpollutant refrigerants in the Montreal Protocol.